Everyone, and welcome back, everyone. As always, if you have not yet, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell notification icon to be alerted anytime I post new content, and tell a friend, and also be sure to share this far and wide. So, we're doing another tier maker video. This time I am doing NFL stadiums. We're going to be ranking the stadiums of the National Football League. And the NFL, unlike MLB, has 4 teams that actually share a facility. So we'll be discussing that, and we'll be talking about the various stadiums. Also, the NFL has newer stadiums than MLB as a whole, although both of them are fairly new. Most of them are, both leagues have a lot of new facilities. So let's get started, and the first one up is the second newest NFL facility, and that is Allegiant Stadium in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. I believe it is actually in Paradise, Nevada. It is just off the strip, and is just a jewel in the desert. It has the retractable field, so they are playing on natural grass there in Vegas, and it's just a really nice facility, and has the largest 3D printed object in the world, which is the Al Davis Memorial Cauldron. Oh yeah, it's an S. Next up is Arrowhead Stadium, which is in Kansas City. Holds a record for the loudest stadium in the world. It's just always a huge home field atmosphere for the Chiefs anytime they play there. It is open air, so you get the chance for snow and rain and all of the associated stuff that you would think of with football. It is getting a little dated, but overall, this is just a fantastic facility. It's a B tier. Next up is Jerry's World, AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. This stadium, when it was built, definitely put down the marker for what a stadium was going to become in the NFL. And far and away, this stadium is still at that level. The huge video board. This stadium is just absolutely fantastic. It's awesome to watch a game on the television from there. College football, hosts season openers there now. The national championship has been there a couple times. Just a fantastic facility in Arlington, Texas. It's an S tier. Next up is Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. This has, great, fantastic views of downtown Charlotte. It is, a great facility, but, the crowds sometimes are quite sparse, even when the Panthers are good. And compared to other stadiums in the league, it is a little lacking, but overall, this is a good facility. It's a C tier. Next up is New Era Field, which is the home of the Buffalo Bills, and this facility has seen better days. It is very old and has not aged well. They have done some renovations to it in recent years, but the Bills definitely need a new stadium, and they are definitely falling behind other teams in terms of their stadium. Now, granted, you read about the game day atmosphere at a Buffalo Bills game, and it is still one of the best experiences in professional football. But overall, the stadium they play in is very lacking, so it is an F tier. Next up is Fedex Field, home of the Washington football team. And this facility has just been plagued with issues since the day it opened. And it's away from Washington, D.C. It is out in the suburbs. I mean, really out in the suburbs of Maryland. Just it's not a great facility. They have to tarp off seats to reduce the capacity so they don't have media blackouts. I read an article in the Washington Post a few years ago about how cheaply they were having to sell tickets to the game to get a sellout, and how cheap you could even also get them on secondary ticket markets. And this is just an F tier. It's got a lot of issues and not a great facility. Next up is first Nrg Stadium, the home of the Cleveland Browns, and it's right there by the water, right next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But the facility really isn't that great. It's an upgrade from what the previous iteration of the Browns had, but like I said, compared to the other stadiums in the NFL, in my opinion, this is not a great facility. I'm going to put it in the D tier. I'm not going to put it in the F tier. One, because it's next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and two, just the crowd support by those poor Cleveland fans who have suffered for so long and been loyal to the team. I am going to put them in the D tier. Next up is Ford Field, which is resembling an old Ford factory, and they moved from the Silverdome out in Pontiac to downtown Detroit. So you've got that atmosphere. This is a good facility. It's a good facility. I'm going to put it in the B tier. It is a nice facility. The Lions are not a great team. It's hosted a Super Bowl, but overall, it's a nice place to see if the football team play. Next up is Gillette Stadium, home of the New England Patriots. Another team that had a definite upgrade from their previous facility when they moved into this facility. But I think if the Patriots had built a facility now, if they had held off about 5 years of building a facility, it would have been much nicer than what they got. They built it in 2001. Which was the year they won the Super Bowl. So we're going to put it in C tier because of what could have been. Next up is what is currently known as Hard Rock Stadium. It has went by many names and looks much different than it did in the past. I want to show you a good picture of Hard Rock Stadium. So, this is Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. And let's see. This is what it used to look like. That's what it used to look like. That's what it looks like now. As you can see, they've added a huge canopied roof For the fans, where in the past they had no awning, no cover for fans. Down around the end zone, they have what's called the living room experience. They have some suites down at field level that basically give you the experience of being at home and viewing a football game. Massive improvement with the addition of the canopy. That's an A tier stadium. That is a great facility. From in the past, it was a D tier, in my opinion. Next up is Heinz Field, right there on the river, and just sweeping views of downtown Pittsburgh. Always a rowdy crowd, just a raucous atmosphere. We're going to put that in the B tier. One of the better facilities in the National Football League. Heinz Field. Next up is Lambeau Field, home of the Green Bay Packers, and just a fantastic facility. The history is unrivaled. The Lambeau Leap. It's got bleacher seats. They've added numerous additions to it in recent years and renovated it, and it's just going to continue to be the premier destination in the National Football League, in my opinion. And in my opinion, a Super Bowl should be hosted at Green Bay for sure. People will be like, well, where do you have all the amenities with it? Have them in Green Bay. Have them in Titletown, USA. Next up is Levi Stadium. This is one of the newer facilities in the National Football League. And in my opinion, they just really missed the mark. It has great technology throughout the stadium and is a really futuresque stadium. But it's over 40 miles from San Francisco. It is in Santa Clara, and there is no awning at all for fans. And I think that this stadium was, in my opinion, it's not a great facility. It's one of the biggest disappointments of the newer facilities in the National Football League. Next up is Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Eagles, and just like the Patriots, a huge upgrade from their previous facility at the Vet. It's got 2 huge video boards in each end zone. Just a very nice facility, a good facility. We're going to put it in the C tier. Lucas Oil Field, home of the Indianapolis Colts. It's got the retractable roof and retractable windows at the end. It's got nice views when they open those up of downtown Indianapolis, and they're able to host a great many events at this facility. The National FFFA convention is now permanently in Indianapolis. Previously, they would split it between Indianapolis and Louisville, but it's now permanently at Lucas Oil Field. So, just a very nice facility. We're going to put that in the A tier. What used to be known as Quest Field, if you saw the first part of the video, you saw me typing that in. It is now known as Lumen Field. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. But this is the home of the Seattle Seahawks, home of the 12th man. Just a fantastic facility. It's got the awnings, sweeping views of downtown St. Louis, or not St. Louis, Seattle. Just an amazing upgrade from the Kingdome, and it is almost 20 years old now, and it's still fantastic. It has aged really well. This is an A tier stadium. Currently, I have it the top A tier stadium. Just a really good facility. Like I said, sweeping views of downtown Seattle, and of course the 12th man. That crowd is just, it's something else. Next up is M&T Bank Stadium, home of the Ravens, and this is a great facility, sweeping views of Baltimore. They've got the Raven Walk, and it fits perfectly into downtown Baltimore. It's an amazing facility from the outside. I've actually had the ability to see this stadium up close and personal when I was traveling through Baltimore once. So we're going to put it in the B tier, and it's going to be the top B tier stadium right now. Next up is Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. It's got the huge video halo board. It's got just catwalks, the roof. Everything about this stadium says, wow. You know, look at what the Falcons built. The concession stands, prices that Arthur Blank installed in the stadium, which are among the lowest in the National Football League. He wanted to make going to the game feasible for a family or, you know, a group of friends. I just think that this is a great facility. I'm going to put it in the A tier because I have read that exiting a game is quite tricky, especially if it's a sellout, and that the acoustics in it are a little lacking. Hopefully they have resolved that, and you know, that I can maybe one day put it in an S tier. But those issues prevent it, in my opinion, at the moment, from being an S tier. All right, next up is Mercedes-Benz Superdome, which is one of the oldest facilities in the National Football League. This was, of course, a site of extreme devastation during Hurricane Katrina. They totally renovated it and really upgraded it to a whole new facility, and has been the site of numerous Super Bowls, the Sugar Bowl, and has huge amount of seating. From what I can tell, not a bad seat in the stadium, but the interior is a little lacking, and like I said, it is getting up there a little bit in age. So we're going to put it in the B tier. We're going to put it in the B tier. Next up is MetLife Stadium. This is a stadium that is also not in downtown, and does not feature sweeping views of the greatest skyline in the world. The public transportation issues that this stadium had and have had are absolute embarrassments. And in my opinion, if you're a team in New York and not playing in New York City proper, you don't deserve to get to call yourself New York. So the home of the Jets and the Giants, MetLife Stadium, is a D tier. Yep. Next up is the home of the Broncos. Um, this is a great facility. Picturesque views of the mountains, the Rocky Mountains. Uh, it's right next to what used to be the home of the Broncos, Mile High Stadium. So overall, I think this is a solid facility. We're going to put it in the C tier. Next up is Nissan Stadium. It is on the banks of the Cumberland River, although it is on the opposite side from the downtown center. But it does have good views of the downtown um, facilities. Uh, from what I have observed, there's not a lot of parking, and the game day atmosphere is a little ways from the stadium, so you have to walk to it. Um, but and there's not a lot of roof canopy, to protect fans from the oppressive Tennessee sun. Because let me tell you something, it can get hot in Middle Tennessee on up into mid October. You can definitely bake in Middle Tennessee, especially in the late August, early September. Good God, we do have humidity in this part of the world. I'm in Northeast Alabama. I'm about an hour and a half away from Nashville. We have humidity. So this is a D tier, and it kind of breaks my heart to put the Titans in that tier. Next up is the home of the Texans. RE. Let's see what the name of it is. Let's see what the name of the stadium is. Nrg Stadium. It's right next to the Houston Astrodome, which they have not torn down, even though it has not been used in years and years and years. Um, this is a good facility. It's got the retractable roof. It's hosted a couple Super Bowls. Hosts the a bowl game every year. But I believe it's the Texas Bowl at host. We're gonna put it in the B tier, and we're gonna put it in the upper end of the B tier. Next up is Paul Brown Stadium, which is located on the banks of the Ohio River, right next to Great American Ballpark. Sweeping views of downtown Cincinnati, but that's about all it has. Other than that, this facility is not that great. Huge improvement from Riverfront Stadium, but I mean, it's got sweeping views of the downtown, so that does count for something with me. So we're gonna put it in the D tier. Next up is Raymond James Stadium, home of the defending World Series, sorry, World Champion, Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It has a pirate ship in one of the end zones. That's about it. Tom Brady plays there. Has played there for one season. It's in the Florida sun. It has no awning for fans. Are you kidding me? Really? I think the Big Sombrero was better. And that was one of the worst stadiums in professional football history. It's an F tier. SoFi Stadium, home of the Rams and the Chargers. This is just an absolute magnificent stadium. It has a huge, just complex associated with it, and is going to revitalize that part of Los Angeles, the Inglewood area. Um, this is definitely an S tier stadium. Next up is Soldier Field. And I have read that the Chicago Bears are apparently going to be leaving Soldier Field soon, and moving to the suburbs. And that's a shame. This has beautiful views of downtown Chicago. It is right next to the art museum and the history associated with it. In the mid 2000s, they did a renovation that preserved the historical facade of the stadium, and basically set down a new stadium on top of it. I know some people criticize that, but I think this is a fantastic NFL stadium. It's got the smallest capacity in the league, which counts for something. We're going to put that as an A tier, and we're going to put it ahead of Mercedes-Benz as the top of the A tier. Next up is State Farm Stadium, which is home of the Cardinals, the big toaster oven. It was the first stadium to feature the retractable field. It has a retractable roof as well. It's hosted several Super Bowls, huge upgrade from Sun Devil Stadium. Just a great facility for the Cardinals, and they're in the desert. We're gonna put it in the B tier. It is in the suburbs, so I do hit it a little for that. It is in Glendale. Next up is the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like Tampa Bay's Raymond James Stadium, it features no awning in the Florida sun. Are you kidding me? It's always empty. The only thing about this stadium that is even remotely interesting is the fact it has a pool. But I mean, really, who goes to swim at a football game? I go to watch a football game. So it's an F tier. US Bank Stadium is next. It is the home of the Vikings. It is shaped like a Viking ship. It has that huge horn. The window panes have sweeping views of downtown Minneapolis. They moved out of the god-awful Metrodome that was on this spot. I wish that Minneapolis played in an open-air stadium, but I also understand the practical realities of that. It's the Arctic Circle that they play in Minneapolis. So yeah, it's an S tier. So let's take a look to review this one more time. F tier is Raymond James, Jaguars, Fedex, New Era Field. D is the Browns, Levi, MetLife, Paul Brown, and Nissan. C is the Broncos, Bank of America, Lincoln Financial, and Gillette. B tier is Nrg, M&T Bank, State Farm, Ford Field, Arrowhead Stadium, Heinz Field, and Mercedes-Benz Superdome. A tier is Soldier Field, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Loomis Field, Hard Rocks Stadium, Lucas Oil Field, and the S tier, the best of the best, Lambeau Field, SoFi, Allegiant, AT&T Stadium, and US Bank. Those are your NFL tier maker lists. So we will, in the next day or so, I'll put up another tier maker list. I really enjoy doing these tier maker videos. And we'll see you then. Thanks.